following is a production of the Department of Broadcasting and Journalism at Western Illinois University.
Live from Salee Hall in high definition. News 3 starts now.
Expansion in the U.S. fight against ISIS. Now the plan for more boots on the ground in the Middle East.
And Santa Claus is coming to town 3 weeks before his big day, where you can spot him coming up later on. But first,
New at 4, Governor Bruce Rauner sits down with the state leaders for the first time in nearly 6 months.
House and Senate leaders met in Springfield to discuss the budget impasse and other budget issues.
The state's been without a budget for 5 months, leading to big problems for universities, state workers, and state parks, among other state-supported universities. Now, Speaker of the House Michael Madigan says the state, quote, awash in debt. House Representative Leader Jim Durkin cast blame for the state's budget issues largely on the Democrats who led the state for several years leading up to this year's impasse.
Senate President John Cullerton said leaders need to stop delaying their meetings to come to a resolution. Senate Republican leader Christine Raduno said the state's root cause of the budget quagmire is Illinois state isn't competitive with other states. She said the middle class is hurt by policies driving employees out of Illinois. Rauner said the state's budget biggest burden is property taxes, and he also wants to increase state support for schools.
Many Illinois students may soon need to pay back the money they thought was previously paid for. Intern Chancellor Barbara Wilson at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign sent an email to about 5,600 students with MAP grants saying they must have to repay what was credited to them if the university doesn't receive state funding from the state.
The university's decision to credit over $12 million in MAP grants to students' accounts was made on the assumption that the budget would be decided and the program would be funded at $373 million. Other sources say Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois will also ask students to pay back those funds if the budget doesn't get passed. Be sure to tune in next week as we go to ISU for a full look at how students are reacting to this problem caused by the state budget impasse. WIU President Jack Thomas is encouraging eligible staff and faculty to retire early. This a result of the state budget impasse. Those volunteering to retire on January 1st, 2016 will receive a one-time pension equal to 25% of their annual base salary. The Director of Admissions, Andy Borst, says this program will not affect the education of current students.
It's for folks who are close to retirement but may need an additional incentive to make the decision, and then the university would look for cost savings either by hiring and faculty who are coming in as assistant professors. However, with the early retirement program, very few faculty have chosen to participate in that.
Staff who volunteer must be at the age of 55 or have at least 30 years of service to qualify for the program. The one-time payment cannot be considered income for retirement benefits and will also be subject to federal and state income tax withholding. Macomb Police honor fallen officers. The department held a wreath-laying ceremony on Monday to memorialize 3 officers gunned down 85 years ago. Police officers Edward Whittlesey, Ernest Bowman, and Albert Links were killed in an attempt to stop a burglar from Canton, Illinois. Chief Barker says this commemoration serves for the present as much as the past.
It's important for the officers working currently that has to go out and risk their life every night to know that the department and everyone here is going to be with them and protect them and their family forever.
A display filled with artifacts from the shooting is currently hanging in the police department's training room. The display is free to the public. Moving to weather, finally the sun is back out in the sky. We have not seen the sun since last week. But Emily, is there snow anytime soon in the forecast?
Sadly, yes, there is. But before we get to that point, let's look at the weather outside right now. It is sunny, very nice outside. It is 45 degrees. Humidity pretty high still, and that's due to a pressure system that is moving into the area. Winds are southwest at 16 miles per hour, and it's only going to get windier. If we take a look at the radar, this is that system that's going to cause us to see snow in the morning. It is still out in Iowa, but it will make its way to us in the morning. But right now, let's take a look at the temperatures. 45 degrees in Macomb. You move south to Springfield, it is 48, and you move north, 44 in Galesburg. I will let you know how much snow we expect to see in the morning and if it's going to hurt your morning commute. And over the past few months, city officials have discussed the renovation of the Lemoyne Hotel in downtown Macomb. At Monday night's city council meeting, aldermen agreed to pass the funding for the senior living project. Mayor Mike Inman said there are no more rooms in the building and a new roof has been added. The city is going to fund $750,000 for the project and is ready for the historical building to have life again.
Mr. Trotter has a very aggressive plan for the building, aggressive in a positive way. That's 47-unit senior living high-rise, mixed use, so that there'll be folks there who are totally independent and folks that suffer from medical conditions that are limiting their mobility. So
the project will cost slightly over $5 million and will begin as soon as possible. The city of Macomb is allowing the owner and designer of the Lemoyne Senior Living Project $50,000 in a finance method known as a TIF. The tax increment financing is used as a subsidy for redeveloping for the city.
All in all, a good project for the downtown. We're looking forward to it. Mr. Trotter's been very patient with us, and it's been a two-way street. This is, as he would attest, it's been a learning process for him going through this project, bringing all the pieces together.
Now, Trish Trotter explains that the project is set to be done by the end of 2016. You can join me next week as I go into the Lemoyne Hotel before construction begins to give a look at the old hotel. And also at Monday night city council meeting, Mayor Mike Inman introduced Roger Viley as the new Public Works Director. Viley worked in design for 25 years, for construction 12 years, and a private works director for a large manufacturing complex. He is prepared to make Macomb the best he can for the citizens.
I think that I can be of good assistance, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you and doing my best to make Macomb the best we can make it for the citizens there.
Tonight marks WIU's final student government meeting of the fall semester. SGA members represent the students' wishes regarding university issues. Some discussions included new bleachers for Western Hall and additional funding for transfer student scholarships. The first SGA meeting of the spring semester will be Tuesday, January 26th. From the books to the movies and now to Macomb, a new sport is drawing attention. Teams from around the region came last week to play this game of balls, hoops, and broomsticks. Let's take a look.
The sport is Quidditch. This game was invented and made popular by the Harry Potter series. The U.S. Midwest Regional Championship was held in Macomb's Veterans Park last week.
I think it's fabulous. It's been really exciting to see a new sport come to Macomb and to see all these new faces from across the states, so I'm having a really great time. I think it's a great event.
She says people are curious about how the game is played. Players are required to hold sticks between their legs as if they were riding brooms. The purpose of the game is to get a ball called a quaffle through the goal. Many learn about Quidditch through the Harry Potter books and movies, but others get interested in the game itself.
I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Potter, which shocks people. Oh my gosh, you aren't a fan of Harry Potter? Why are you playing Quidditch? Because it's awesome. Quidditch is an awesome sport. You don't need to be a fan of Harry Potter to enjoy Quidditch. 14
teams competed in the tournament last week. The team from the University of Minnesota won the tournament and will go to the Quidditch World Cup in spring. For News 3, I'm Cora English.
Static. The Emmett Commerce Fire Department is teaming up with Jolly Old St. Nick in an effort to assist local families in need. A fire truck will chauffeur Santa Claus this Saturday through the Georgetown and Meadowbrook subdivisions in Macomb. It kicks off at 1 p.m. He'll be collecting non-perishable food items, new toys, and clothing. Santa will take pictures and greet everyone along the way. Neighbors can leave items at their front door in St. Nick to pick up. You can also visit Santa at the Emmett Commerce Fire on West Adams later that day at 4 p.m. For more information, you can go to ecfpd.org.
Santa's not only visiting the fire department this week. There are sightings of him on the Macomb Amtrak Depot. Old St. Nick's first sighting this week will be this Friday, working with the Macomb Area Chamber of Commerce and Margaret Roberts Travel, serving cookies and hot chocolate to all the children. Young children, both naughty and nice, are all welcome to join Santa and Miss Claus on December 4th at 6:15.
It's firing many protesters called for some leaders are now praising.
But many still say it's not enough. The fallout continues in the police shooting death of Laquan McDonald, and now the city's top cop is out of the job.
Something we've seen from WIU in quite some time. The night football team in round 2 of the FCS playoffs. We'll wrap up stats and scores against Dayton and look ahead to the Redbird matchup this weekend later on in sports.
Stories, they happen everywhere. At NEWS3, we go the distance and tell them firsthand. Across the region,
the tornado tore through a neighborhood in Washington, Illinois.
Across the state.
Here at the state capitol in Springfield for the gubernatorial race.
Across generations.
We have a lot of people that are very dedicated. We're all volunteers.
The stories that inform us, the stories that move us, the stories that matter from a fresh perspective.
Don't worry, the 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play more. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
My favorite thing about WIU is how much we work as a team. Everyone here has helped immensely, and when we work together, the outcome is amazing. Producing for the newscast, writing for the newscast, going to city council every Monday. It's something that I've learned that it takes a team. There's no such thing as an I. If there's an I, then we know that something's going to go wrong. I really do believe WIU has prepared me for the outside world. I can't wait to see where I end up. I have to thank everyone that has been involved. You know, Jasmine Creighton, she has managed to help me overcome that scary part. And the way that you have a great show is not the content that you have, it's the people who you work with. And here at WIU, I have had a chance to work with some excellent people.
Now from Macomb in high definition, you're watching Emily Manley, Brianna Descoret, Storm Team 3's 5-Day Outlook, and Sports with Aaron Sutira. Live at 4 continues.
Additional American Special Forces will soon head to the front lines of the war against ISIS. The United States says it plans to expand military efforts to defeat the terrorist group in Iraq and Syria.
The announcements come as President Obama issues a warning to his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, on the dangers of getting bogged down in Syria's bloody civil war.
Polo Sandoval reports from Washington.
More U.S. Special Forces are heading to Iraq and Syria. U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter broke the news during his testimony on Capitol Hill Tuesday.
We're sending, on President Obama's orders and the chairman's and my advice, Special Operations Forces personnel to Syria to support the fight against ISIL.
Carter says the newly deployed troops will add to the less than 50 special forces sent to northern Syria last month. While the Pentagon isn't disclosing how many will be part of this new wave, they are expected to be on the ground playing a very active role.
These special operators will over time be able to conduct raids, free hostages, gather intelligence, and capture ISIL leaders.
The Pentagon continues to focus on small, mobile special forces and not on large-scale troop deployments. The Obama administration has come under some criticism that this strategy does not do enough to eliminate the threat of ISIS.
I'm confident that we are on the winning side of this.
On Tuesday, President Obama finished his trip to Paris, where the war on ISIS loomed over global climate talks. The president delivered this warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin about the dangers of getting caught up in Syria's civil war.
With Afghanistan fresh in the memory, for him to simply get bogged down in an inconclusive and paralyzing civil conflict is not the outcome that he's looking for.
I'm Polo Sandoval reporting from Washington.
Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel announces today the creation of a new task force on police accountability.
This move comes from a fallout continues from the police shooting of a death of a 17-year-old. Yesterday, the indicted police officer Jason Van Dyke was released on $1.5 million bond. Van Dyke faces a first-degree murder charge in the shooting death of Laquan McDonald.
Earlier today, Mayor Emanuel announced the dismissal of Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy. Reports say Emanuel first asked McCarthy for his resignation, but McCarthy refused. At a press conference, Mayor Emanuel thanked the former police chief for his years of service.
The superintendent, Gary's record at the Chicago Police Department is a strong one, and one that he can be proud of. I'm grateful for his service to the city.
Protesters have been calling for McCarthy's firing since charges were originally announced last week. But many are also saying State's Attorney Anita Alvarez should step down. Protesters cite the 13-month gap from the original shooting to Van Dyke's indictment as evidence of mishandling in the shooting investigation. Temperatures are still above average for this time of year.
And I'll be in the Storm Team 3 Weather Center next to see if December will continue to be warm for us or if we'll have a white Christmas. Stay tuned.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours.
Dr. King, what's your next move?
In March from Selma to Montgomery.
Selma is loud for every man, woman, and child.
We will not wait any longer.
In front of a crowd.
Mine eyes have seen the glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
I want to take a look at the gorgeous weather that we had today. The sun finally came out today. We have not seen the sun since last Thursday, and the sun was out today, and it was gorgeous. 45 degrees at the moment, 16-mile-an-hour winds, which will increase overnight with the cloud coverage that will come in with the pressure system. If we take a look, though, right now at the temperatures around the area, you can see that in St. Louis it is 52 degrees, Davenport is 41. That's that low pressure system that I was talking about is going to move in and bring us some snow in the morning. This is that pressure system that is moving in. As you can see, it is rotating and is going to cause just flurries for us. Don't expect an inch even on the ground when you wake up in the morning. Just expect for you to have to dust off your car as you get ready for work. Moving into tomorrow night, though, you can see, or excuse me, tonight, you can see that temperatures do drop down and it's going to be quite cold. 31 degrees in Davenport, 35 in St. Louis. This is moving into tomorrow, and we're going to have cooler temperatures tomorrow than what we did today because of that pressure system. In St. Louis, it is going to be 39. Davenport is going to be 36. This is moving into tomorrow night where it gets even colder. 36 degrees in St. Louis, 32 in Davenport. So please make sure that you bring in any pets that you have outside tomorrow night. They're not going to be sure how to cope with that because we've been such warm weather. This is our prediction for the month of December. Sadly, I have to be the one to say that we're probably not going to have a white Christmas. This is the area, though, that we are going to be 60% higher in temperatures than what we normally are for the month of December. Moving into Chicago, you can see that 70% warmer than normal for the month of December. So it's not looking like a white Christmas yet. This is due to El Nino, which is out in the Pacific coast, and that is what's causing us to have warmer temperatures for the month. Though, let's look at tonight. You can see that we will hit a low of 29 degrees, and it's going to start flurrying tonight. Winds start to pick up. Moving into tomorrow, though, it's going to be even windier. 15 miles per hour, gust up to 25 miles an hour, only high of 37 degrees. We will see snow until about noon tomorrow, and then you can plan on those snow flurries moving away. We're going to take a look at the 5-day forecast. You can see that the snow is going to move out tomorrow. We will hit a high of 37 degrees. On Thursday, we are going to do 44 degrees all sun, and we are going to do even warmer temperatures as we move on into the weekend, which is fantastic. By the end of the weekend, we should see a high of 52 degrees outside. So you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to look absolutely great for the weekend and good for that football game that we're going to talk about on Saturday, correct?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Emily.
Coming up in sports, the Illinois women's basketball team spent the weekend in the beautiful state of Florida for their first tournament of the season. The Macomb High Bombers girls basketball team took on the Little Giants of Canton last night in the hangar in Washington Street Gym. And Western Illinois football gets ready for round 2 of the FCS playoffs as they get a second chance to beat their in-state foe. All that and more right after the break.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change.
Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet!
Dang it. Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women.
I could use your help.
Yeah! Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
What did you want to be when you grew up? Now, how do you make it happen? Think purple, think success, think Western Illinois University.
Welcome back to Live at 4. After coming off a strong win against Mercer, the Macomb High Bombers girls basketball team was back in action yesterday against the Canton Little Giants. Macomb High back inside the hangar hosting the Giants. Big defect for the Lady Bombers to cut things early. Layup from Courtney Thornton off the inbound. Deep 2 after that, knocked down by Sydney Schubert to give the Giants a 16-4 lead, and then Sydney Ham with the fast break layup, and the Little Giants up 23-5 after the first quarter. And Macomb High ties things there with a quick layup and a cross-court pass to Chloe Churchill, draining a deep 3. And then the Canton Little Giants would continue to roll on the Bombers 82-30. It's kind of a huge score there from the Little Giants, a giant score. The Western Illinois women's basketball team played down south in the warm state of Florida this past weekend to partake in the University of North Florida Classic in their first game of the tournament. Leathernecks would fall down to Townsend 83-77, but they would rebound back in the second game Saturday to beat Bethune Cookman 75-59. Sophie Reichelt had a huge weekend, scoring 34 points in the Leathernecks' first game against Townsend. She earned the Player of the Week in the Summit League because of her performance. Reichelt's 34 points when the game was tied for the 12th in Division I this season. Throughout the week, Reichelt averaged 23.1 points and 7.7 rebounds while shooting 49% from the field. Leathernecks' next contest is Wednesday night at Eastern Illinois. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. The WIU men's basketball team traveled to Omaha, Nebraska to take on the Crichton Blue Jays. It would be no walk in the park for the 5-0 Leathernecks as they would find themselves down by 13 at half, then get outscored in the second half 53-36. Leathernecks would suffer their first loss, falling to Crichton 97-67, and this was the first game of the season. Western would shoot under 50% from the field. Western was out-rebounded 47-29 and found themselves only at the free throw line 6 times. Leathernecks are back in action this Wednesday night at Western Hall to take on Silverlight. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. The Leathernecks football team returned to the FCS playoffs for the first time since 2010 and proved that they could do some damage early. Taking on the 10-1 Dayton Flyers, the Leathernecks continued to extend their 8-0 winning streak against Pioneer League teams. Nico Watson would rush for another 150-plus yard game with 1 touchdown as the Leathernecks would go on to beat the Flyers 24-7. Leatherneck defense had a stellar day, causing 4 turnovers. Leathernecks have a tough challenge in round 2 of the playoffs as they head to their in-state rival Illinois State this Saturday. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. And after wrapping up the regular season, Nico Watson would rank 2nd in the Missouri Valley Football Conference and 6th nationally, averaging 115.5 rushing yards per game. He has become one of 5 Leatherneck players to record 2,800 career passing yards. Over the past 3 games, he has averaged 150 rushing yards and had a career-high 3 touchdowns in the Leathernecks win over Indiana State. He's going to be much needed this weekend, guys. We want to come away with a win.
That's for sure. Thank you so much, Eric. We'll be right back after the break.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Cracked out.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Coming this weekend, Dickens on the Square brings a Victorian era to downtown Macomb. Sponsored by Downtown Development and the City of Macomb, Dickens on the Square allows residents to experience Christmas season with a small town feel.
Enjoy a horse-drawn carriage ride, living windows, and a visit with Santa Claus, the Festival of Trees, and listen to classic carols. The event kicks off on Friday, December 4th at 2 o'clock and ends on Saturday night. That's all from us today.
But you can stay up to date with us all the time on Facebook. Search News3 WIU.
I'm Emily Manley.
And for Eric Sutera, I'm Brianna Descaray.
And from all of us here at News 3, have a great evening.